Today, sunny and hot. You can tell it's sunny. Look at my face. I got all burnt today. I was out at the Little League field. It was a crazy morning. We had an extra inning game that finished 20-19. And there was more points, runs scored in this Little League game than there were in the Browns game. But the Browns get their first win of the year. 20-19 in the Little League, 18-13. The Browns are victorious, as predicted by me. I'm always right. You know it. Let's face it. It's just inevitable. Deshaun Watson improved. I'm not going to say he played an amazing game or go bananas about it, but he played a solid game. A pretty solid game for Deshaun Watson. 22 of 34, 186, no touchdowns, no interceptions. Again, if you just look at the numbers, it doesn't blow you away, but it was certainly better than last week. He made some really good throws. A lot of the throws were behind the line of scrimmage or within 10 yards, but he made a couple of big throws. That throw to the sideline late in the fourth quarter to Jerry Jeudy, I thought was an excellent throw. I've watched it like 5 times. I still am not sure how that ball got past the defender. But the difference also this week was the running game. The Browns committed to the run. They only threw it 5 more times than they ran. That's what you want. I mean, it was what, 53% pass? That's what you want. You want to be balanced. Jerome Ford only had 7 carries, but he had 64 yards. I said he'd have a big run. I predicted a big run for Jerome Ford. I said it'd be over 50. It wasn't. But he had a nice 36-yard run. Overall, 7 for 64. Deontay Foreman had some big yards. The average yards doesn't look good. 14 for 42, but he had some big runs. He was involved. Deshaun Watson on the ground scored the Browns' only touchdown from the one early in the game at the completion of a good drive when he went 7 for 8. And then, Jameis in for a couple of quarterback sneaks. Jerry Jeudy led the way, receiving yards, 5 of 73. Elijah Moore had a pretty solid game, 6 of 8 for 44. David Bell actually caught 3 passes, but then he got hurt. I think he's going to be out for the year. A little concerned about Amari Cooper. He's been a no-show. He's had drops. We're not used to that with him. Deontay Foreman did have a fumble, but he recovered it. And the Browns, overall, I thought they'd win this game. I think my final score prediction was 13-10 or 14-13. I don't remember my exact score prediction. But I said low-scoring game. Browns win because of the defense, and that's what happened. I mean, again, they had the good touchdown drive in the first quarter. The offense did just enough after that. And the defense bounced back from a terrible performance. Not terrible. From a meh performance against Dallas. And played very well. They had Trevor Lawrence out of sorts all game. He really, it's funny. Trevor Lawrence throws for 34 more yards than Deshaun Watson, but I thought Deshaun Watson played much better than Trevor Lawrence. I didn't think Trevor Lawrence played particularly well, under 50% completion percentage. The Browns did a good job on the run. Against the run, you look at the yards per carry at 6 yards, but a lot of that was the 33-yard run by Trevor Lawrence. If you take that out, 20 carries for under 100 yards. Although that's not. Listen, they ran it okay. But the Browns defense made big plays when they had to. Obviously, when the Jags get the ball back in the final minutes, the great punt. That's an all-time punt there by Corey Bojorquez. Now, some of it's luck, right? But their skill in being able to deaden the ball at the 1, and it just makes a hard, was it a right turn? I think it was a hard right turn to go out of bounds. And that was as big a play as any in the game. And then the first play from scrimmage after that, Myles Garrett, if you look at the box score, Myles Garrett didn't do anything on that play in the box score. But he forced the action, got Trevor Lawrence. He pressured Trevor Lawrence. So I guess there are stats for that. But he forced Trevor Lawrence up in the pocket, and right there to take him down, my man, Alex Wright. I predicted double-digit sacks for him this year. That was probably a little crazy, but he gets his first of the year. It was a great play by Myles Garrett to set it up, and then Alex Wright was Johnny on the spot. JOK Made some impact plays in this game. He had 2 tackles for a loss. Jordan Hicks, who felt like a no-show last game, had a sack and 2 quarterback hits. Myles Garrett earlier in the game with a strip sack. Browns had 9 tackles for a loss in this game. They had 4 sacks. Quentin Jefferson also had his first as a Cleveland Brown, as well as Hicks, who I mentioned earlier, his first as a Brown. And, they made their field goals. Dustin Hopkins, 3 for 3, including a 53-yarder. Thought it was interesting, and I've got one compliment of Kevin Stefanski and one critique of Kevin Stefanski, and I can't say for sure it's his fault. But so when the Browns got the ball back, after Jacksonville got the field goal and they had a touchdown, a penalty killed them. Jags had gotten a touchdown to take the lead, but it comes off the board penalty. They have to settle for a field goal later in that drive. So it's 16-13. Browns get it back 7.5 minutes to go, and that was a really good drive. That was the drive where Deshaun hit Jerry Jeudy, and they ran the clock. But it looked like the Browns would get in the end zone. They first of all, let's go with 3:24 left. 4th and 1 at the Jacksonville 26. The play before that, Amari Cooper had the first down and then ran backwards. I don't know what that's what we were talking about with Amari Cooper before. I don't know what the hell he was doing there. He looks lost in the soup these first 2 weeks. Hopefully he'll get his act together. But then 4th and 1 at the Jacksonville 26. That's a makeable field goal there. Could have put the Browns up by 6. But I liked going for it on 4th and inches in that situation. I thought it was the right call. They bring in Jameis Winston to run the quarterback sneak. He gets 2 yards first down. Then they don't do anything on first down there. Then that drive just went to hell. 2nd and 10 at the Jacksonville 24. Deontay Foreman has a big run, but he gets called for a face mask. And you never see face mask on offense. That sucks. What are you going to do? Next play, Deshaun incomplete. 3rd and 16. Then you're still in field goal range here. 3rd and 16, 47-yard field goal potentially. Deshaun scrambles, gets a few yards. Holding penalty on Pocic. Backs you up. Now you're out of field goal range, or out of, likely field goal range. 3rd and 25 at the 40. They make a big completion to Akins. Looks like you're going to be in field goal range again at the 25. Another penalty, this one on Wyatt Teller, the offensive line, who I thought played well overall. They protected Watson very well in this game, despite the injuries and DeJuan Jones being in and out of the game. But the penalties were awful, and that's something going forward. The Browns have got to clean this up. I mean, you're not going to win a lot of games where you commit 12, 13 penalties, whatever it ended up being. The defense bailed them out, but the offensive line, 2 plays in a row holding. So now you're 3rd and 35 at the 50. 2 minutes left. And you get a few yards. Now it's 4th and 27 at the Jacksonville 41. The Browns could have attempted a 58-yard field goal, but smartly, Kevin Stefanski opts the punt. That's what Bjorkes gets it inside the 1, then the safety happens. But now let me go to my one criticism of Stefanski. And I didn't get a chance to hear Kevin Stefanski's postgame. I don't know if this was talked about. I'll have to find out more information. But, so after the safety, Browns get the ball. They're up by 5. Okay? So even a field goal puts you up 8, which is a one-score game, but they need a 2-point just to tie. So you get a 1st and 10 at the 42, run the ball, okay. Jacksonville calls their second timeout. 2nd and 7 at the 39, you run the ball again. Jacksonville calls their last, so that's their last timeout. With 1:37 to go. 3rd and 6. So they have no timeouts left. All right? If you get a good game, maybe you kick a field goal, but probably they're going to punt there, right? So on 3rd and 6, Deshaun Watson drops back to pass. And he almost got sacked, but he would have been better off getting sacked. So I think, I'm saying I'm blaming Stefanski there because But I don't have a problem with him necessarily dropping back to pass. It's risky. But if something's not there right away, Deshaun has got to, just take a knee. It doesn't even matter. You're not kicking a field goal, so you can't take a sack. So really, the more I think about it, that's really Deshaun. Deshaun played pretty well. I don't want to pile on. Whatever happened there, you can't. Now that was a stupid play. Whether it was the quarterback's decision, the coach's decision, whatever it was, they didn't advise him. He threw the ball incomplete. So the clock stops with 1:33. Had Deshaun even taken a knee there, then you would have gotten the clock under a minute with no timeouts. But so you basically gave them a free 35 seconds. And the Jags get the ball back after the punt to 10. Lawrence made a nice throw to Gabe Davis. He ran for 12, got it to the 44, still 47 seconds left. After a penalty and an incomplete pass, the Jags were looking at a 2nd and 5 at their own 39. He made a long throw to Thomas down the field, the rookie. And so now it's 1st and 10 at the 33. Trevor Lawrence spikes the ball. Now, 2 things here. Number 1, I thought the Jags took way too long to snap that ball. They should have had 2 plays. It was like 5-6 seconds before they snapped the ball once it was set. So I thought the Jags really bumbled at the end of the game there, because had they clocked it with 11 seconds, 10, well, then they didn't have to throw a Hail Mary. They could have tried to get 10, 15 yards and made it a more reasonable throw to the end zone. They didn't, because they had 8 seconds and it was borderline whether that would be enough time. They throw the Hail Mary. It was close, but the Browns in the end make the play and get it done. So good win by the Browns. Progress from Deshaun Watson. I thought he played very well on that first possession. That first drive was 16 plays, 89 yards. And he did a good job early. And they scored their first 3 in the first half, 3 possessions, 3 scores. Touchdown, field goal, field goal. Second half, again, not much. Offense scored 1 point, 1 time on a field goal. But in the second half, the Browns didn't move the ball. So, again, progress. First half, the Browns offense had 93, 182. 182 yards from the Browns in 3 possessions in the first half. That's excellent. Second half, not so much. Second half, the Browns had 115 yards and just 3 points offensively. But they did enough, and again, the defense got back to what we were expecting. Much better job. The Browns continue, though, to be very poor on third down. 2 things we've seen in the first 2 games. A lot of penalties, especially on the offense, and third down efficiency awful. They were 3 for 3 on 4th down, but they were terrible on third down last week, terrible again this week, 2 of 14. Defense did a good job. Jags only 3 of 9 on third down. Yards per pass attempt, 4.8 for Deshaun Watson. Again, that's still pretty bad. But overall, I thought he played well. Browns averaged 4.3 yards per rush. And again, they finished with 13 penalties for 100 yards. They won the time of possession, no turnovers. Overall, hey, it's a good win. And you look, the Ravens with a stunning loss. Raiders kick a game-winning field goal late in the game. Steelers are in action as we speak. They're up 10-0 at the half. Bengals in action as we speak. They're up 16-10 on the Chiefs. 1:15 to go, but Patrick Mahomes has a 1st and 10 at the Bengal 49 with $1:15 left in that one. Probably get you a halftime score before we go away. All right, I want to hear from you folks. Let's get to it. A lot of messages in the chat. Let's start with Chris. Hi, Chris. I know you're saying hi. I know I started about 2 minutes late. I apologize. I guess I started a lot later because last week I went on pretty soon after the game. I had something that I had to do, and I just had to get caught up. And so that's why I went started at 5:30 today. Michael, a big W is a big W. How totally out of sorts does Jacksonville look? They're a mess. Yeah, they did not look good at all. Habana daydreaming. What's up with Cooper? He should have had a clinching touchdown catch, and he dropped. Yeah, it was bad. Talked about it before. Some bad drops from Cooper in the first 2 weeks, no doubt. Chillaxin' man, Deshaun Watson. Jesse Dean, damn Bull, is that picture of you for the 80s? So everybody's making a big deal. My profile picture for the podcast, it's not from the 80s. It's about a decade old. That was a picture that I took at Cleveland Browns Stadium. Dustin and I took pictures there, 2012, 2013, 2014. I don't remember exactly what year. And that was my picture from there. So, yes, it is old, but it's not from the 80s. Ricardo, what a win, Bull. Let's go. Let's go. They needed it. I thought they'd get it, and they got it. Gunner, Watson still looks scared. Listen, I told you, I did not think Watson played great, but it was a big improvement. He played a solid game. And expectations have changed. It sucks, but right now I'll sign for just solid. And he was solid. He didn't turn it over, didn't make any huge mistakes, made some plays. And there were some things I was critical of him for, but overall, not a lot to be critical of. He was okay. If that's how they have to win, they win. Dom Gazzullo, you did call Wright stepping up. You know it, Dom. My man, Alex Wright. I want him to bust out for a few sacks next week. Gunner, why can't our wide receivers get open like a lot of other teams? That's not true. I haven't seen the numbers yet from today in terms of the analytics, but last week guys were open. Andrew Ward, Watson saying he just needs to be a facilitator with the team. Pretty sad. Yeah, listen, I before the game talked about being a facilitator. I think we have to realize that we're not getting the guy we thought we were getting from Houston is not happening. We're not going to see that guy, at least not on any kind of regular basis. So it sucks, but you have to change your expectations. And he was a facilitator and a game manager today, and it was good enough. He played well enough. Jackie Cavelli, Watson looked good, improved. That's all we can ask for week after week. I agree. That's what we saw before, but something always gets in the way. Hopefully, he can string a season together. The April, Jerome Ford is Nick Chubb light. Very light, April. Very light. Bull, I like the grit Browns had today. Yeah, they did show some grit. A lot of things went against them with the penalties, that disastrous that I went over when they had the ball with a few minutes left, when they got the 3 straight penalties to take them out of field goal range. You know, they could have fallen apart there. Trevor Lawrence could have marched them for a game-winning touchdown. Instead, they get the sack. And then by the time Jacksonville gets it back, instead of having 2 timeouts, they have none. Instead of having, 2 minutes and change, they have a minute and change. So, yeah, they did show some grit. Michael, get better every week. Next week, I need Coop and the O-line to step up. I thought the O-line played well. The penalties, they pass protected I thought very well today. Much better overall. Let's see. The April, aside of not taking the fourth quarter sack, Deshaun played well. I agree. Chillaxin' man, Deshaun Watson was outstanding. Too many drops and penalties. I think outstanding is strong, but I agree with too many drops and penalties. Eric Barner, Watson didn't shit the bed like people thought he would. He did not. There was no bed shitting. There was some bed shitting by Trevor Lawrence, but there was no bed shitting by Deshaun Watson. That could put that quote up there. Watson didn't shit the bed. That's good. Let's see. Michael Shupska. It was a bad play call, but Deshaun has to be smarter than that. I feel like most of us in the chat would know to go down. That's true. I think ultimately that's on him. He's got to get down there. Can't throw that ball. Chillaxin' man says, why would you even pass the ball there? I mean, Chillaxin' man, you love Deshaun. That was Kevin Stefanski showing faith in his quarterback. It was risky. Deshaun should have gotten down there. Jawarnock says the line is hot garbage. I don't agree with that. Let's see. Michael, they got another free timeout on the drive when Ogbo went down. That's true. They did. I forgot about that play. Logan, penalties need to be cleaned up. like bad. Watson played well. Good first step. Yes. Cradle spot. That thumbnail is crazy, Bull. It is. Conscious Catalyst. Watson did a good job, period. Cooper can't drop 5 passes. No. I mean, way too many drops from Cooper. Chillaxin, man. Watson dominated the game offensively. He did not. He didn't dominate. Let's not get crazy, Chillaxin, man. Spencer says, great day for the Guardians. Magic number goes down by 2, and a Browns victory. Great day for Cleveland. Yeah. Guardians did win, and the Royals lost. Irene. Kind of worried, man. We will take the dub. Go Dogs. Carl Zell. Deshaun Watson looked good. Ignacio. Judy is God. Let's take that down a notch. Chris. Garrett had a right-on-time sack. He did. Jeffrey. I'm still worried Deshaun could be suspended. It's very possible. I think it's more likely for next year if it happens, but it's possible. GWDP. Does it feel like Coop is buying into the season? He's off. I'm not writing him off yet. I don't know. I don't think this has anything to do with the trade rumors. Maybe it has something to do with his age. He got hurt at the end of last year. He's at that point in his age, in his career where he could go off the cliff at any minute. Hopefully, that's not the case. William Snodgrass says the Browns' running back room sucks. That's not fair, especially after this game. I thought Jerome Ford played well. Nick will be back in a few weeks. Yes, he will. Chris Watson didn't shit the bed. LOL. Got some stats there. Deshaun Watson, sacked 8 times. We've already discussed this last week. A lot of those on him. 63 passer rating. Longest pass, 30 yards. He got going on the ground. 2 games, 355 yards. 2 touchdowns, 1 passing, 1 rushing, 2 interceptions. The numbers are not good. But he played a terrible game week 1. He played a solid game week 2. That's the most important thing. Let's see. Irene said, I wore my Lucky Kozar jersey today. I like that. Probably paid off. Pete Dog, Judy is the only receiver who can make contested catches. Let's not make sweeping judgments about the entire team after 2 weeks. I think we got to take that down a notch. We need to have more creative formations to help him get open. Certainly, guys are getting open. That's not generally the problem. Again, we'll go back and watch the tape again, watch the All-22, see the analytics on it. Roderick Wilson, Hopkins is the key. 3 big field goals, including a long one. He's been phenomenal since joining the Browns at the beginning of last year. Darryl, run game was much better. Agreed. Run game was a big factor. They were close to 50-50 in the play calling. I loved it. I thought it was a good game that way, from that perspective. Watson not getting Cooper the ball. He got him the ball. He's got to catch it. Alvary-Doe, I still don't trust Kevin. Okay, I don't know what to tell you. GWDP, now we need to see the consistency from Watson. Agreed, of course. It needs to continue to get better. Drowning in Music says he needs to be more of a leader. I agree with that. Spencer, a lot more Foreman today. Yeah, I thought we'd see him a lot more today, and we certainly did. I thought the yards per carry, again, not great, but I liked what he brought to the table in this game. Some tough running between the tackles. Rich, penalties. Cannot have that many and win many games. That's true. They're not going to win a lot of games with 13 penalties. That's an anomaly. Let's see. If they are open, why are their catches contested? Everybody has some contested catches. Chillaxin, man, great play call on the fake quarterback sneak. I agree with that. Alvary-Doe, Kevin played too conservative in the second. When the Browns don't run the ball, people get mad and say he runs the ball. He doesn't run the ball enough. Then when he does run the ball, people complain he's being conservative. I mean, come on, guys. Cooper was terrible today, Josh. He had a bad game. He's off to a terrible start. Let's see. Wow, the Chiefs did not score. I'm not watching the game, but I assumed Mahomes would would get them down the field on that final drive to give the Chiefs the lead at halftime, but it didn't happen. 16-10 Bengals at the half, and Steelers still at the half. Or did they just start the third quarter? Man, the Cardinals, 31-3 on the Rams. Kyler Murray, 3 touchdowns. Marvin Harrison Jr.'s got 2 of them, 130 yards there. How about the Saints? How impressive have they been so far? 44-19, Alvin Kamara, 4 touchdowns. Rashid Shaheed's had 2 long touchdowns. Derek Carr's played well so far. Buccaneers beat the Lions. Baker Mayfield, statistically, I didn't see the game. Did not have nearly as good a game, but they're 2-0. He's 2-0, and they beat a really good Lions team on the road. That's impressive. He only threw 19 passes. There was not a lot of plays in this. What a weird game. The Lions ran 83 plays on offense. The Buccaneers ran 42, and they won. I don't know what happened in this game. Baker was 12-19, a touchdown and a pick. He also had a rushing touchdown. So, again, I didn't see any of that game, but weird score. I'll go to the rest of the score. Packers beat the Colts 16-10. They're 1-1, Colts 0-2. Jets get their first win with Rodgers, 24-17 over the Titans. The Vikings, a shocking 2-0, beat the Niners at home 23-17. I did not see that coming. Patriots played a good game again, but lost in overtime 23-20 to the Seahawks. Commanders got their first win, 21-18 over the Giants. The Chargers have looked great so far. How about J.K. Dobbins? He is like 260, 70 yards in the first 2 games. He's finally healthy. Good for him. 26-3 over the Panthers, who are just hideous. And the Raiders, a game we're all thrilled about. Raiders beat the Ravens 26-23. Raiders come back with 13 points in the fourth quarter, game-winning field goal. And the Ravens had one last chance at the end but couldn't get it done. So the Ravens, a shocking 0-2. And the Steelers, early third quarter, up 10-0 with the ball. So they're in pretty good shape right now against the Broncos. All right, couple more chat messages I'm going to read. Alvary Double, you don't throw the ball when the other team has no timeouts. It's risky, but if you trust your quarterback to make a quick throw, and if that doesn't happen, then he's got to take a knee. So, yes, the play call is risky. I didn't have a problem with it, but I have a problem with Deshaun not getting down. Roger Wilson, the offensive line needs to be fired immediately. The offensive line coach, I think you mean. Jawarnock, yeah, I don't think Stefanski can be called conservative at all in the slightest bit. No, he's not. Victor, none of the receivers are putting a fear into the defense. That's fair. Alvarido, if we would have lost this game, everybody would have been blaming Stefanski. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't have, but I think you're right. A lot of people would have blamed Kevin Stefanski. Sam Darnold has played well, but Justin Jefferson got hurt. I think Sam Darnold is the new Ryan Fitzpatrick or Gardner Minshew. He's a guy that's going to play well for 4 or 5 games, look like maybe we found something, and then he'll go down the shitter after a while, I think. Unlike Deshaun Watson, who didn't go down the shitter. All right, thanks to everybody for joining me as always. I'll be back with another podcast on Tuesday. I'll be back on UCSS tomorrow. Please subscribe. Please like. I am 39 subscribers away from 5,000. My goal was to get there by the start of the football season. I'll take the second week. I appreciate you all listening. I appreciate you all watching. Good win by the Browns. Improvement by Deshaun Watson. It's just a really positive step. It was not perfect. Deshaun Watson didn't play an amazing game, but he played well. The defense played very well. No big mistakes by the quarterback. Mistakes. We got to clean up the penalties. Got to be better on third down. But the Browns are 1-1. And at worst, they'll be behind the Steelers at 2-0, ahead of the Ravens, and either tied or ahead of the Bengals. You needed this one. You got it. You got the Giants at home next week. There's no excuse. The Browns should kick the Giants' ass. Giants are a horrible football team. Let me see what the line is. Let me go to my Bet River Sportsbook. Let me bring that up. I don't think the lines are out right now. For next week, I think they're off the board until later today. But my guess is the Browns will be let's see, they're at home with the Giants. I say the Browns are about a touchdown favorite in this game. I bet they'll be a touchdown favorite. That's my prediction there, but we'll see. All right, again, thanks everybody for joining me. Thanks, Daryl. Love you, buddy. Thanks, Chillaxin' Man. Thanks, Alfred Doe. Thanks, Josh, Iranine, Chris. Thanks, everybody. I really appreciate you all joining me and sending your chats. Thanks, Josh, as well. Thanks, Spencer. Thanks to Z and Max and Monzo all being involved with the podcast. By the way, on Tuesday's show, so Tuesday's podcast, my Tuesday podcast is not live. But most of you know that as part of the Bet Rivers Network, I do the show in Cleveland, and we have other hosts in other markets. And, of course, in New York, our guy is Mike Francesa. And Mike is basically the guy who, along with Chris Mad Dog Russo, they're guys I grew up listening to. I know Mike a little bit. I don't know him that well. He was always nice to me when I worked with him in New York. And Mike and the Mad Dog was the first big sports talk show in America. And in New York, it was massive. Obviously, most of you didn't listen. But Mike is a legend in the business, and it's cool being in the same part of the same network with him. And so with the Browns playing the Giants next week, I'm going to have Mike on the podcast on Tuesday. So we'll get his thoughts on the Browns, his thoughts on the Giants. And by the way, when I first got my job on the radio station in Cleveland 13 years ago, Mike Francesa invited me into his office, and he said to me 13 years ago, I knew nothing about Cleveland in 2011, nothing, when this job was first offered to me, and I immediately dove in. But Mike invited me into his office. I remember being a little nervous because Mike, legend in the business, I'm working in New York, I'm a part-time worker, and Mike said, he was very nice, he was very happy for me. He said, Bull, I'm going to try to do a Mike impression. Bull. I mean, some people think I sound like him. I won't try to do an impression. He said, you're going to do great in Cleveland. It's a great sports town. And he was 100% right. The man was Nostradamus. I have done great here, and this is a great sports town. And so I'm excited that Mike is going to join me on the podcast on Tuesday. So make sure we'll probably have it out late afternoon on Tuesday. So stick around for that. Thanks again, everybody. I'll talk to you next time. Where else but right here in the bullpen with Adam the Bull, brought to you by Bet Rivers. Browns win it 18-13. And yes, Tulsa King Season 2 starts today. See you later, everybody.